Hello, it's Captain. So unfortunately, we're back with more ships don't sink business here. Again, I've demonstrated many times in a couple videos here that, yep, you can sink ships. Not only can you sink ships, you can control how quickly you'd like to sink ships. Now, a big part of this is balancing. Delta has alluded to this in the Q&A. There are going to be some balancing things here. The devs need to set the flow rates of fluids across fluid ports and doorways of all sorts in order to make sure that different players can play this game the way they want. For example, an 8-year-old kid who just wants to screw around and sink some ships, for them, a 2-minute sync time is an eternity. They have to wait forever. It takes forever to sync. You see this hyperbole all the time. People will say, oh my god, my game is stuck at 90%. It's taking forever to load. You'll ask them, how long is it taking you to load? And they say, oh, it takes me a minute to load. All right, so for them, a minute is an eternity. All right, so a lot of people are using hyperbole here. So I do understand that people have different preferences in how long they would like to sync ships. Again, follow my tutorial, the one right here, and you can design your ship to sync at the rate in which you would like. Now, some of these things are design choices by the devs for balancing reason, so that people can do things like have moon pools. Again, the point of a moon pool is to have a big hole in the bottom of your ship so that you can launch submarines through the bottom of your ship. Now, in real life, you need to pressurize the air inside of the moon pool room in order to keep the water from coming in. If the air pressure is at the same pressure as the water will not come in. The way the devs apparently have balanced this is if a door is on the bottom or the top, it will reduce the flow rate so that, and again, an 8-year-old player who has limited physics knowledge, who has limited engineering, mechanical, technical knowledge, can make a moon pool in the game. Again, it has to be gamified, simplified, so that somebody like that can still build in this game and enjoy the game. They can't make it too in-depth, realistic, hard, or else guess what's going to happen? You're going to limit the player pool, you're going to limit the number of people who can play the game, you're going to cut down your consumer base, and guess what? You're going to go out of business. So they have to make the game approachable as well. And so they've simplified some of these mechanics. Now, let's say you have a moon pool in the base of your ship in real life. Again, you need to have enough air pressure in there to make sure the water does not come in. So what do? They pressurize the air in the room. If you open the door to the moon pool room, some of that air pressure is going to escape into the next room. If you then open the door to the outside, well, guess what? The pressure drops, the water comes in, the ship floods, and it sinks. So that is what would happen in real life if you have a massive hole in the bottom of your ship. But moon pools are essentially massive holes in the bottom of your ship, and they're able to not sink your ship quickly because the air is pressurized. All right, and so if the devs made this as realistic as real life, then you would have a ton of people who build career ships that take them hundreds of hours to build. They would go out there without the understanding of how the physics works in real life. They would forget to close the door, or they would not make an airlock system into their moon pool like they should. And guess what? They would open up the door to the moon pool room, the air pressure would escape, water would start coming in. They would then open the next door that goes outside, and their ship would sink, and they would go, boo, game bad, my ship sank, my career game is destroyed. All right, so you got to understand that the devs are putting in a bunch of these things for balancing reasons. Delta has alluded to this in the Q&A. It makes sense, right? You need to balance it so that the people who want their ship to sink in 10 seconds can enjoy the game. They might not get exactly what they want, but they can enjoy the game. Their ship will sink in 30 seconds. You have a person over here who wants realistic sinking. Well, guess what? The Titanic took 2 hours and 40 minutes. I think most of us, myself included, would think that if a ship took 2 hours and 40 minutes in game, that would be too long, because in real life, of course, they would have liked it if the Titanic didn't sink at all, but it sank in 2 hours and 40 minutes. This gave people time to get to lifeboats. It allowed them to get off the ship, and unfortunately, they didn't have enough lifeboats for everybody, but it allowed people the time to be able to get into lifeboats and try to save their lives, and that's why many people did live on from the Titanic, was they had the time to be able to go and to get in the lifeboats. So you wouldn't want your ship to sink in 30 seconds like some people want it to in game, because guess what? A hole's in the Titanic, it sinks in 30 seconds, everybody on the ship is dead. So different people play this game in different ways, and because of that, there are balancing things. And balance is about compromise. In compromise, nobody gets exactly what they want, but we all get some approximation of what we need. And so that's the whole essence of good compromise. And so for the people who want the ship to sink in 10 seconds, you're probably not going to get that. But guess what? You can sink your ship in 30 seconds, all right, if you want, using certain techniques. If you want to be more realistic, but you don't want to be hyper realistic, you can make a Titanic that sinks in 30 minutes because you're not trying to evacuate over 1,000 people to lifeboats. You're trying to evacuate you and maybe 3 friends. So you want 30 minutes, the ship starts to sink and to list, and you run to the lifeboats, you lower the lifeboat, you get in the lifeboat, and as you're going away in the lifeboat, you get to watch the Titanic sink. Yay, fun. All right, so I would say most of us would probably agree that if it took 2 hours and 40 minutes for a simulated Titanic to sinking game, that would be quote unquote boring, as you'd have to sit there for 2 hours and 40 minutes, right? So that's probably too much, right? So there's a balancing act. And if you ask one player what the perfect sinking time is going to be, they're going to say X, and you're going to ask the other player, they're going to say Y. And so eventually we have to get some sort of compromise where it's close enough. And I think we're there with this. I've demonstrated in this very video right here. You can sink at different rates. I do 4 tests in here. All right, the horizontal door with the explosive, guess what? It sinks in 33 seconds. If you think that is too long, I don't know what to tell you. You need some more patience. One horizontal door with no explosives sinks in 149 seconds. Still, not a very long time. 2 horizontal doors with no explosives, 91 second sink time. All right, so about a minute and a half. All right, and the sink box, which has the vertical doors, which in my opinion, I would say is probably a balancing thing done by the devs so that we can have moon pools, which was an advertised feature from the pressurization update, that we're going to be able to make moon pools. It takes 706 seconds. So if you accidentally swing open your door and your moon pool room starts to flood, you can close the door and you can repressurize it and you can push the water back out, and your ship does not sink instantly when you make a small error in your career game. Because guess what? Some of us like to play in career, and we don't want to just reload our builds back to the workbench. Some of us are playing a career game where we want our builds to be a little bit more realistic and not sink instantly. So let's go ahead and let's look at this again. Water don't work. This is fine. This person just doesn't, know how to do it. That's fine. So I posted my video. Then we get the same person here who keeps making claims that you can't sink ships, that I've demonstrated multiple times that you can sink ships here. Let's go ahead and read this challenge by them again. You really should, just in capital letters, try just a door frame on the hull. Then we shall, with no explosives or anything. You'll have a hole in the hull where water will not flow due to pressure. Will not flow. So let's define that. Will not flow. So no water will go into the hull. That is what will not flow means, in my opinion, unless I'm speaking some sort of strange language, or some weird version of English where words do not mean what they mean. That's what will not flow means to me. That water will not flow from the hole in the hull into the ship. Okay. This shows why many people are stating boats. All right, again, words have meaning. Let's not go to hyperbole. Will not sink. This video here, I show how you can sink 4 different boats. 4 of them. So they do sink. 4 of them. And then we have or taking too long. Subjective here. Too long is useless because it's subjective. Again, for that 8-year-old kid who's like a hamster on crack, 90 seconds seems like an eternity. For them, anything over 30 seconds might be, quote-unquote, too long. For somebody with more patience, or somebody who's trying to play a little bit more realistically, an hour might be too long. 30 minutes might be too long. 20 minutes might be too long. All right, so again, you have to define what is too long. All right, this is the thing, is they're leaving a subjective clause in here, so I know what's going to happen with this person. This person is trolling at this point, so probably just make this the last interaction I do with them. They're just trolling at this point. I've demonstrated multiple times that guess what? You can sink a boat. They keep saying you can't sink. They never acknowledge that, hey, I said you can't sink a boat. Yep, I saw you sink a boat. Yep, I was wrong. You can sink a boat. All right. They have not acknowledged yet that after I've demonstrated multiple times that you can sink a boat, that it is. So this person is frankly a troll at this point, or taking too long. That's the subjective clause. So we have to think of this subjective clause. So what do I think this person is going to do? Come back with is, oh, well, that's too long. Okay, that's fine. Again, it's up to personal opinion what is too long. And again, in compromise, you have to compromise. There are going to be people who want the 10-second sync. There are going to be people who want the hour-long sync. And so you have to come at some compromise. And guess what? We already have it. I've demonstrated in this very video right here that you can sync in 33 seconds, 149 seconds, 91 seconds, and 706 seconds. You may choose how long you want your ship to sync. You as the engineer in this building game can build your ship to the specifications you want. You are the engineer. You engineer your ship how you want. All right, so they would like me to just try just a door frame on the hull with no explosives or anything. You'll have a hole in the water, in the hull where water will not flow due to pressure. This shows why many people are stating that boats will not sink or taking far too long. All right. So what am I going to do in my test here? I'm going to put just a door frame on the hull. We'll actually do two tests. We'll do one with one door frame on the hull, and we'll do one with two door frames on the hull, so we can see, is there a time differential? Can you, as the builder in this building engineer game, build your vehicle to how you would like it so that it performs how you would like it? The essence of engineering. All right. We'll use no explosives. Guess what? I've already tested it already. So guess what? We will have a hole in the hull, and guess what? It will allow water to flow through. All right. And guess what? It will sink. And guess what? We'll get the times. And whether you think it's too long or not is up to you. And guess what? Add more doors if you want it to sink more quickly. So let's go ahead in the game. Here we are in the game. Let's go ahead and we will load my example. So I took the very example from the previous video, which, you know, demonstrated that you can sink. Let's go ahead and we'll type in sink and we can bring up all my examples. So here are some of the examples that I put on the workshop from the last video that you could test. So I put two of the examples on there you can test. So here we go. We have two new ones. Sink test with one door frame. All right, same hull I've been testing, same hull I've been putting in all my videos. No explosives. So let's look. No explosives. All right, we have one door frame as requested. Here is the door frame. It is as small as I can make it. That is as small as you can make a door frame. Now, this is the big thing too. Why would you put an open door frame on the side of your hull? Answer, you wouldn't. Why? Because why would you build a ship which is supposed to float in the world? Why would you put a hole in it? I don't know. All right, so the other claim, it will not allow water to flow into the hull. We'll test that. And I have my timer on here. I made a small change to my timer. My timer, when I press the toggle button usually, will start the timer because normally you wouldn't just build your ship with a hole in it. You would put some, you know, I usually use hatches, so the toggle will open the hatch. We don't need to open the hatch. As soon as I spawn this in the world, it's going to start taking water in and sinking. So what's going to happen here is I change this up just a little bit. So for full transparency, I'll show you what I did. I took off the toggle and I put on a constant on signal. That will make it so that as soon as I spawn this in the world, the timer will start. I also changed this so that this is meters underwater. So it used to, when the altimeter would less than 0, it would shut the timer off. So when it sinks, when the altimeter goes below the water line, which is what I would define as sinking, it would stop the timer. So I actually went to when it goes less than 1 meter. So now nobody can claim that, oh, well, it sat at the water line for a couple seconds before it went under, so the timer stopped too early. So guess what? We're going to make it so that it has to go a full 1 meter under the water before the timer will stop. That will be sync. So those are the only changes for full transparency. All right, let's go ahead and let's spawn it. All right, there it goes. So one of the claims, the door frame will not allow water to flow into the hull. Oh, what is this? What is this magical liquid that is flowing from the door frame into the hull of the ship? Is that by chance water? Let's look. Let us look. Oh my, sea water. What a shock that is. Is it coming in from the door frame? Sure it is. Let's go ahead and let's turn on particles here. All right, particle effects, full, save. Oh my god, what is this? Is that water coming into the hull? It appears it is water. Water coming into the hull. Let us look here. Ooh, more water coming into the hull. Let's look at that. So let's go out here and let's stand here and we'll do a little time lapse Aroni. And I will get back with you guys when that water that is flowing through a door frame in the hull of the ship, which will cause it to sink once the mass of the water exceeds the displacement of the hull and it sinks to the bottom of the water. So I'll get back with you when the time lapse is done. All right, and I just got back from the bathroom, and let's go ahead and jump down there and see what it looks like here. So, oh, is this sunk? I believe this would be the definition of sunk. A boat has gone below the water. 603 seconds. So yes, in fact, a door frame does allow water in, which again was a claim that door frames don't allow water in. The water has come in, and guess what? When the mass of the water has exceeded the displacement of the hull, the ship has sunk, as we expect it to do in 603 seconds. So it's about 10 minutes, 603 divided by 60, that is 10 minutes, 0.05, 10.05 minutes, the hull sunk. So, prediction, can we take 2 holes and make this sink more quickly? Generally, physics would say yes. So let's go ahead and here is a sink test, 2 door frames. Same test. We have 2 frames on here. Again, remember the last claim. This person keeps making claims. I keep disproving them. At this point, I'm considering this person a troll. I don't know if they're even serious or they're just like don't know what they're doing or they're just like trying to troll at this point because frankly, they keep telling me ships don't sink. I keep showing ships sink. They never acknowledge that ships sink. Again, if you're a player of this game and you actually want to sink ships, I have now demonstrated multiple ways you can sink ships. This one doesn't make much sense to me again because why would you build a ship with a hole in it? The point of the ship is to float. Now, I do get the point of being able to scuttle your ship if you want to do sinking ship survival. That makes perfect sense to me. If you want to do that, you can do that. And I've demonstrated that. You can do that with electric hatches that will open automatically on damage, or if you want to manually open them to scuttle ships so you can pretend to survive a sinking ship and launch lifeboats and all that stuff, you can do all that. But I don't get why the fascination this person has with just putting random holes in their ship. That doesn't make any sense to me. Again, they claim that water does not flow in. Here we go. We have the 2 holes. That's all I've done with this one. Spawn it. All right. Let's go ahead and we'll confirm again their claim is incorrect that water does not come in. What is that magic stuff coming in? I believe that is water. Again, their claim water doesn't come in. Visually, oh, looks like water's coming in. Let's go ahead up here. Let's look at the liquid meter. Oh, yeah, that's seawater, all right. So water is coming in the hull. So right here, again, so that claim they made, again, for the 900th time they made this claim. All right, so again, their claim, water does not come into the hull, is incorrect. As we can see, water is going in the hull. So we're going to sit here and we're going to time-lapse this one out. This one has 2 doors on it. Again, when we get below 1 meter below the surface of the water, it will tell us how long it took to sink. And I think by the definition of sinking a ship as a ship sinks below the waves and goes down to the bottom, that would be sunk again. So let's go ahead and let's look at the timer on this one. And we have 398. All right, so real simple. 398 divided by 60. That is going to take us 6.63 minutes. Okay, so we had a 10-minute. Now we have a 6-minute. Okay, great. So again, we, as the engineers in this engineering and building game, can build our ships to not only sink, but sink at the rate in which we want them to sink. Again, this is a big part of balancing in the game to allow different players to play the game in the way they want. All right, so if you want to sink quickly, again, one of the claims was ships take too long to sink. Again, that's a subjective claim. You'll never be able to get two people to agree to the exact amount of time they want a ship to sink. All right, this game is not made for just you. This game is made for a number of people, and so the devs need to balance this in a way that there is some level of compromise where the players who want a ship to sink in 10 minutes, well, they don't get exactly what they want, they can still play the game. And the people who want their ship to sink in a longer time period so they can do things like get on lifeboats, they can have that as well. So here we have 6 doors, right? This is triple the amount of the last test. So again, prediction. First prediction, again, in violation of that person's claim that water doesn't come in through door frames. What is this magic liquid coming in through door frames again that does not apparently come through by that person's estimation? Water. Not only does it visually come in, it comes in via the liquid meter. We already have 20,000 liters. Now, at the rate in which this water is coming in, likely this one's going to sink pretty quick. So let's go ahead. We'll sit here and we'll time lapse this out. Again, you have the tools in this game to build the ships the way you want. So when people keep saying, oh, the devs need to fix sinking, no, they don't. It's fine. The thing is, you need to understand that there are players who play this game who play differently than you do. They may want ships to sink faster or slower than you do. And so the developer needs to come up with a compromise where the people who want their ships to sink in 10 seconds can still play and enjoy the game. And that the players that want to have their ships sink in a realistic time, think Titanic, 2 hours and 40 minutes, that player has to compromise it as well so that we can all play the game. And I might not even need to time lapse this out. Again, so I would say the claim that ships take too long to sink is also pretty kind of a silly point because, again, you as the engineer have the control in this engineering and building game to engineer your craft the way you want it to perform. It is your job in this game to create the craft that fulfills the goals that you want to accomplish. So let's go ahead and we'll just do a quick time lapse as this will sink very fast. And there it goes. Again, would we define this as sink? Again, the person's claim said that you cannot sink the boats using door frames. I have now sunk 3 of them. So yes, you can't just sink one. I have to sink 3 of them apparently. So yes, the claims have been disproven again. You can sink ships with door frames. Why can you sink ships with door frames? Again, disproving their claim that water does not go through door frames. As you can see, water goes through door frames. So the water will go through the door frame. Once the mass of the water exceeds the displacement of the ship, guess what? The ship sinks. And so 186 seconds. So 186. All right, their other claim that it takes too long to sink. Now, that is a subjective claim, right? We all have our different opinions on how long or short we would like our ships to sink. Frankly, as somebody who plays career, I never want my ship to sink. Now, do I want it to sink if I do a lot of damage and I legitimately have damaged my ship? Do I want water to come on and I have to shut doors and run bilge pumps and do repairs? Absolutely. I did the other day. I was doing a rescue mission. I had my ship on autopilot, and guess what? It ran into the rescue ship. It damaged my bow. As expected, right? You have a damaged hull. Water came into my hull, but I keep my watertight doors shut. So the bow filled with water. I went out there, I repaired the hull. Then my bilge pumps, which I engineered and built into my ship, they removed the water. And then my ship was saved. All right, so that's how I like to play. Now, I understand some people like to do sinking ship survival. Some people like to torpedo their boat and have their boat sink in 10 seconds. I get all of these. These are all valid ways to play. I have no problem with people playing other than I do. I fully accept it, and I think that's important. I think some of the problems some people are having here is that they expect everybody to play the way they do. They want the devs to make a custom game just for them. That's not how this works. We are part of a community and we want different things from this game. And the developer has to come up with some sort of compromise where we can all have some sort of our gameplay. We won't get 100% of what we want. None of us will, because that's not what compromise is. We have to compromise so that we don't alienate too many players. And then the game, guess what? Not profitable, goes out of business. So we have to compromise on this. And I think the devs have come up with reasonable compromises here. Again, the claims have been disproven. We've been able to sink ships with explosives and hatches, just side hatches. We've been able to sink them with vertical hatches. We've been able to sink them with door frames, which, again, this person claims water will not go through. Again, did you guys just watch? I think it looks like water goes through. He said that the ships won't sink. I think you just watched 3 ships sink. Pretty standard testing methodology here. I'm also going to include all of these 3 test platforms on the workbench. You can take them into your game and test them yourself. But I think this is pretty much disproven at this point. I wonder if this person's trolling at this point. I'm pretty much done talking with them. I keep demonstrating that their claims to be false here, and they just keep making the same claims over and over and over again that, nope, in fact, it's not working. They're saying the water's not flowing through door frames. They are. They say ships don't sink continually, and guess what? I keep sinking these ships, and they sink. So if you want to sink some ships, I've put up plenty of methodologies here for you to follow to sink your ships at the rate in which you want to sink them. You, as the engineer, have the capability in this engineering and building game to build and engineer your ship in a way that will fulfill the goals you have. So go ahead, go out there and build. You can sink ships. I think it's pretty much done and dusted at this point. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.